using the internet. So welcome to Warren, and thanks very much for having us here. What you're seeing here is we're actually live to YouTube right now, and we're doing something called a Google Hangouts on Air, and we've invited some other people from the public to join, so there may be some people that join on. And what you're seeing here not only can be watched live, but it can be watched later when you leave on YouTube, simply by doing a quick Google search for your conference name or the title of the workshop. So I'm just going to minimize that, and I'm going to bring up, let's see here, I'm going to bring up the Toronto Police website, because what we're going to talk about here today is what the Toronto Police Service is doing on the front end. That's what I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to give you a couple of examples where situations have happened in Toronto where a lot of social media activities occurred, and there's a potential for evidence that needs to be captured as a result. The one example I'm going to show you is the Eaton Centre shooting, which is basically where we're at right now in Toronto. This is physically where we're doing this presentation from, is right beside the Eaton Centre. So if a situation like that would happen right now, my role as Toronto Police Service social media officer would be to communicate with our corporate communications team, who would be in consultation with the officers in charge of the scene to try and get official source information out onto Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Google Plus as to what's happening. And what you're seeing is the Toronto Police website, and if we were broadcasting this YouTube Hangout on Air directly onto the Toronto Police website, it would actually come right to the top of the website right there. And it's being broadcast by this webcam right here. So essentially I could be standing at the scene broadcasting with the same setup that we have here, and it would go to the front page of the website. And what you have going down here is the social feed for any one of the 280 Toronto police officers who have taken a 3-day training course on using social media for communications, essentially to affect our mandate of helping to stop and prevent crime. And once those officers have taken the course and it's overseen by corporate communications that they're actually using the tool effectively with a two-way dialogue with proper content, they're put onto this social feed. And as soon as they tweet, or down here, if they have a Facebook, it will come through the social feeds on the front page of the website. So in effect, if there were to be an emergent situation right now that came to my attention from this Toronto Police Service issued BlackBerry, I could get official source information as to what's going on, and I would type it onto there, and the public would be able to see what we're doing and what the situation is, and we'd be managing the emergency situation like that. It's very quick, within about 10 to 20 seconds of actually putting a tweet out. Twitter is the one we use for emergency management the most. The news kind of breaks on Twitter and falls on Facebook. Within about 10 to 20 seconds, what we've tweeted on there will be being read by all the major news outlets if it's an emerging situation like the Eaton Centre shooting. So the rule that we have in our office is verify twice and tweet once. So there's a whole lot of scrambling behind the scenes to try and get the official source information. So it's really good to have something like a BBM group or a WhatsApp group going on with your official people involved, and the more of the units that are involved in a situation that can be networked there, that are decision makers, like intelligence divisions and divisional commanders and scene sergeants and things like that, that are in that back end loop, the better, because that is the better information that we can get to get it out here. Now, what that effectively creates, whether we want it or not, is when an incident happens, we've got evidence that's potentially being put into social media. And I'm only going to show you this one example of this. This is a publicly available service. I don't know who runs it or who owns it, but it's called Epilogger. And this is what they're doing is they're just out there crowdsourcing the information that's coming in. And it's my humble opinion that we should be crowdsourcing the information coming in as quickly as we can in order to capture it for the potential nugget of gold of evidence to solve the crime. But even more importantly, if we were doing things like this with relationships and technology and social media, kind of walking the social media beat in advance, we could see indicators of potential issues like the Danzig Street shooting, for instance. If you've got boots to the ground in real life and social media as a cop, you could potentially see that somebody's talking about potential problems there and that you could increase your police presence there in a proactive way in order to be on patrol to prevent the violence from happening in the first place. So Epilogger is kind of neat because you can look at the Eaton Center shooting right there, and there's 69,666 tweets that have mentioned it. As we've heard from previous presenters here today, that creates a lot of volume of potential evidence and a real sorting challenge for everybody. What this service does is it actually will take all your media posts as well, your tweets, your blog posts, and people that are checking in at the scene. So if I arrived here today at the scene and say I took a picture of my friend Stephen and I posted it onto my Foursquare, for instance, which geotags me to this location with Stephen, then potentially that could be evidence. So that is catching it. So where this works great is if you've got your communications and your investigations effectively talking with each other and working collaboratively together with purpose and process. That'll get you the potential, and that'll get you the payoff. I call it the 4 Ps. So I'm going to flip into a presentation here, and this is a presentation that Stephen and I both prepared together, and we agreed to just kind of I would talk about the front end and get the crowd thinking here about what the front end looks like, and a little bit of the back end, and I go into some of my key messaging, and then Stephen will take over here and he'll talk about some of the legal issues relating to everything that you're seeing here. So Stephen put this a disclaimer in that the opinions expressed herein are those of the writer and the presenter and are not necessarily the opinions of the Toronto Police Service, the Attorney General of Alberta, or those of the Department of the Solicitor General and Justice of Alberta, because that's where Stephen works. He's got about 4 or 5 of my slides. Stephen prepared this in here, and they are from a presentation that is approved by the Toronto Police Service. And I'm really proud of where we've come from and where we're going with all of this, because previously I had that same disclaimer in the slides that I had, and it was all about relationships and technology. And the heart of the matter is, do you become a friend with a member of the public? And for education, like teachers and people like that's an issue that they're struggling with. Should you become friends? And the whole issue is, will you? Could you be accused of being a groomer? And when I say this statement, this is just me speaking here. Is that if you're not out there, you're not going to be able to see the one that's becoming a groomer, and your kids are kind of out there themselves. So that potentially could shift the legal liability the other way as to why weren't you out there. And we're getting a lot of things like suicide issues in social media and things like that, where we're able to actually see, or it's reported to us that there's a suicide issue, and it's not just us, it's to education people and social service workers, and we're able to actually take action and go out and do an intervention. Now what that creates is an international, global need for coordination, because somebody that's seeing something in social media could be dealing with somebody they don't know in another country. And you need to be able to act on that and get it to the people who can act in a timely way to do an intervention in another country. So as you can see, it gets pretty big. That's just who I am. My username officially for Toronto Police is just Toronto Police on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and there's a Toronto Police Google Plus page. I'm also known on all those platforms as Graffiti BMX Cop. It's because I'm very passionate about working with kids under the graffiti and BMX themes. And I work with these kids instead of chasing them around. And that creates the trust that actually gets a lot of people that generally wouldn't follow the police to actually follow a police officer. So it doesn't matter if you're into graffiti or BMX, it just matters that you're out there, visible, showing your face and creating that trust, doing whatever you do. And then if there's a need for an emergency or somebody needs to come to you, you're there and you can act. We have stopped a Virginia textile school shooting as a result of information that's come in that way at a major university campus here in Toronto. So the results are pretty amazing. This is the key messages that are officially approved for this presentation by Toronto Police Service. Is that adult mentorship in real life must be continued into the cyber world to prevent societal violence. That there's a paradigm shift from legal liability model to policy-driven relationships and technology approach is essential for community safety. I'm the one who wrote in capital letters there, stop blocking social media. Some of our challenges are that we still have things blocked for people like probation officers and corrections officers and things like that. So we're actually broadcasting, like you're seeing right now, from Toronto Police Headquarters on a homicide where the players are essentially in the correctional institution, and the whole idea is that everybody can see what's being said from the official source. Yet when some of our justice system participants and friends go to watch it, they can't on their service. So those are just things to think about going forward. Start community building and preventing violence with social media. Don't look at it as the evil enemy. Relationships and trust between adults and youth are key to the prevention of bullying, gangs, suicide, threatening bodily harm, threatening death, sexting, online intimidation, terrorism, or mass shootings. And of course my PowerPoint wants to lock right now. Right when it's getting to Stephen's turn. So I don't know why that's doing that, but we're having a little, these might stop, or we might just have to kind of reboot the computer to get it going for Stephen's presentation, which would kind of be too bad. Essentially where we're going with all this type of stuff is that we're out there on the front end. The next slide, which I can't bring up due to the technical issues here right now, essentially has what's called a hashtag on it. If something major were to happen at, say, the Eaton Center here, we would say follow hashtag, which is a number sign on Twitter, and everybody could kind of tweet into that hashtag that wanted to tweet into that hashtag, and you could see what everybody's saying really quick. So you can use those for something positive and good, like a conference today. If the conference here had a hashtag, people that are in other locations may be able to actually see what's going on. Thanks a lot. And you always need a backup, like you just saw right here, when somebody hands you a book because your technology is failing you.
The irony is that cannot be lost on anyone.
That's true. So essentially, the key message number 4 here is that the adults include parents, teachers, school administrators, police, social workers, justice system workers, correction staff, probation officers. If you look in your book, it's on page sustainable, connected relationships that create trust, which fosters reporting of concerns of violence to be dealt with by authorities before something like a mass shooting, a bombing, a minor bullying incident, potential gang involvement, and suicide. A lot of people